When I issued the Omnyoko judgment, Omnyoko was, I mean, people at the court told me, he was like, Kisakye is the only judge at the Supreme Court. But I come from central Uganda. And I'd switched. I didn't talk to him. I didn't take a bribe from him. But he looked at the judgment of the majority and looked at my dissent, and he was like, wow. I think he sat down and said, maybe I'd misjudged this judge. We need to earn the respect of Ugandans by doing the right thing. And we have the constitution to guide us. We have laws to guide us. Let's not hide behind our wigs and our judicial robes to be corrupt, to judge cases with impunity, or to hide behind public offices and, unleash the law on Ugandans who are enforcing the constitution. It is very unfortunate. And the more we do it, we are digging a grave for all of us. And if Uganda collapses, we shall all be buried in it. And the other countries are closing their doors by the day. For those who think that they are pushing, jabs at Justice Kisakye, I'm out of the country for now. Try now to come where I am. You see, if you go through the, how many will go through the immigration. And that's happening in other countries. And these countries are right. Why should we mess up our country and then we run to other countries where they are following the law? Why? These are the questions citizens of other countries are asking. So, and the other thing for Genesis, I just want to tell you that for us who have, I'm 66 years old, and I've seen governments come and governments fall. When Idi Amin took over Kampala, I was in Kampala. Okay? Actually, my father was in primary 7. So I saw the government of Idi Amin fall. I saw the government of Obote fall. The government Obote, Obote 1, Obote 2. So, and beyond Uganda, we've seen other governments fall. So those who are in leadership, my prayer, President Museveni, and your son, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, members of the police, please follow the constitution and do the right thing. You'll earn the love and respect of Ugandans if you do the right thing. And when it comes to the elections, we need an audit. The recently concluded elections did not meet the international standards for organizing free and fair elections in Uganda. You can't have your rivals being beaten, being stopped to campaign, and then all this, the army taking over the process of, the electoral process. And then at the end of the day, you say someone was declared a winner. How? Under what law? The army is not supposed to be involved in election processes. So this impunity is continuing, unfortunately, especially by the current leadership, which came into power to liberate Ugandans according to their, the records, but now has turned around to do what they are doing. They are read, they know the law, and they put the same constitution in power which they are violating. So our duty as Ugandans are to speak up. Of course, for some of us who are speaking from safety, we'll continue to speak up. But we're also going to look at other avenues of how we can have this message, communicated. And but as Ugandans, if you're in the country, you can have a silent, in law there's something called shunning. Let's shun them. Or let's write, anyway, there are many things that we could say, but let each one of us look at what we can do in our capacities, of course, taking into account your personal situation, and do what you can do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that was more than elaborate. I'm very sure that where Mr. President is, Mr. President Sembakate, I'm very sure that where he is, he's rolling with joy. I want to be very sure that he is indeed having this best time. Thank you. First of all, you talked about, and in your submissions, before I hand over to Sandra, one of the strategies I think that you've talked about and has worked over time, you said if we had to get back to our greats and, the times of slavery, the times of colonialism and the related, the strategy of boycotting, I think it has by and large worked.
I think political detentions are very unfortunate. Of course, we have the Penal Code of Uganda, and in that, they are to kill a person, wrongfully. I mean, like, they are offenses laid out for criminal conduct. Then you have, but there are these other category of offenses which are now falling in the political arena. You supported the candidate, why therefore now you are a terrorist? And who is, if somebody is a terrorist, there is a process of going through confirming whether somebody, bring your evidence, take your evidence to whatever it is, make a complaint, let the DPP properly investigate. And if there is credible evidence that somebody is engaged in acts which, real acts of terrorism, then, investigate. And if there is credible evidence, then you can charge and try that person and give them all the rights to defend themselves. But these days you have a situation where our president stands on a mic and says those terrorists, or the chief of defense forces says those terrorists. I mean, by so doing, you have constituted yourself into a court. How can you be a president and then you are like the court? Which judicial officer is now what kind of trial is going to take place if you have already found these people guilty? So we must all agree to be bound by the law. Political prisoners should not be, nobody should be imprisoned for their political beliefs. There is no society I know under the earth where people believe and think in the same way. Even the most developed countries like the United States, we have the Republicans and we have the Democrats, and any other country that you can think of. There are many other countries, any country you want to study. There are those who believe that maybe the right way to do things to move west, and the other ones are like, let's move east. Others will think, let's move north, and let's move south. But if you can all agree that we are citizens of this country and we need to have a peaceful dialogue on what needs to be done, that national resources belong to the people of the country. They are not personal resources. That if you hold a position of leadership, it gives you authority, but it also limits your authority, and it also guides you on how you should exercise that authority. So, and if a citizen has rights, those rights should be respected unless, there are reasons to suspend them. And even then, that suspension or not observing those rights should be within lawful parameters. Like, for example, if you have committed murder and there's enough evidence to, or killed a person and there's enough evidence to link you to the crime, then you are in detention because you are being tried for having killed a person, maybe, or you're charged for having been, suspected to have killed a person. You may eventually be acquitted or not, but that's a clear case. But some of these things where we believe that Uganda should move in one direction and another person believes Uganda should continue moving in this direction, nobody should be in prison for their political beliefs. The Constitution gives us those rights, and we need to preserve Uganda not only for ourselves, but even for future generations to come. If our predecessors, for example, our grandfathers and grandmothers, if whoever disagreed with the other one was killed, some of us would not see the light of day. You know, if the systems we adopted from our colonizers do not work for us, maybe we need to revisit whether we even need these systems in place. I was very proud recently. I would call her my sister because she's a lawyer. Dr. Lina Zedriga, the head of her community, came up and said, "Where is our daughter? She may not be cleared of these charges, but these statements need to come out from our traditional leaders." Some of us, we've been like we are orphaned, okay? But there are some parts of the country where if something happens, people will come up and say, "What is happening to our daughter, our son?" If we need to have an engagement around our, who we are, because we all come from different parts of the country, let's have that engagement. The Baganda, for example, the Lugbaras, they didn't write their constitutions down. The Basoga and all the Banyoro, they didn't have their constitutions down, but they know how they were organized. So if we are going to have the prime constitution and we claim this is the prime law, but we don't respect it, it's paper. We only go to it selectively to get powers, and then we throw it in the dustbin. Do we need these constitutions, or do we need to go back to, to reset the clock and go back to the, where we were when the British came to colonize us, and then we start a dialogue based on our different, ethnic tribes in Uganda. And having said that, I know some of you are going to say, "Oh, now she's tribalistic," because this label of being tribalistic is only labeled when some people raise these issues and others, practice tribalism on a daily basis. So if we are going to have Uganda and continue to have Uganda as a country, then we need to look ourselves, each one of us, in the mirror and decide, do I believe in this Uganda, the creation of our former colonial masters, or should we go back and reset the clock and say, this community, have your own discussions, and this community, have your own discussions, and then agree if you want to commit to liaise with another community? All these are options on the table we need to explore. So, and for judges, let's stop locking up people where the police are using the DPP is using this pretext. Lock them up, we are investigating. Why did you bring these charges? Yeah, there should be credible evidence on record, which at least shows the probability, connects the person being accused with the person being, with the alleged crimes. But now we have this situation where remand has been is being used as a way of punishment. Somebody says, "Oh, Kisakye spoke on Spaces. If I was in Uganda, now I've disturbed the peace of I don't know who." And then now it's like, yeah, we are going to investigate. But meanwhile, lock her up. The presumption of innocence is given to every Ugandan until you are proven guilty. Let's respect the pen and paper on which we put in our constitution, and let's respect the rights of Ugandans. Uganda is for all of us. If we can't live in one country, if we need another model, if we need to split to Ugandans, so that, like, the Ugandans who think that locking up people is the way, when I disagree with you, the solution is to lock you up, maybe those ones will live in a certain part of the country. Then those who believe that, no, let's investigate these allegations, and if they are, found, there are different ways. Maybe locking up is not even the way to go. There are different ways of compensating. Maybe locking up is one way, maybe compensating this person. So if we need to partition Uganda, if we need to go the tribal way, or if we need to remain in our house, Uganda, we need to have these discussions. And I think the time to have them is now. Because if we say the next elections, that is 5 years down the road, how many people will be alive when terrorists are being picked up on the streets and the soldier is the court? You know, you are walking, you're a terrorist, and you should be shot dead. And then the report is made on Twitter. So we need to put our house in order. That was my appeal to the president. That's my appeal to each one of us, to the people of Uganda, each one of us, wherever we are, irrespective of our age, political inclination, sex, and whatever beliefs you have. If you believe in Uganda, don't do anything that, you know, undermines, you know, Uganda remaining as a nation. If you don't believe in Uganda, then let's have a discussion how we should move forward. Because we are 50 million. There are countries that have 4 million, 5 million, 10. We don't have to be 50. But we can't claim to be in a country which works for only certain people and other people are not there. And for anyone who is still laughing because Justice Search is out of the country, because Semakade is out of the country, because Seranyas is out of the country, because Bobby Wine is hiding, I'm laughing back at you. You know, have pity on yourself because your turn is coming. It may not come today, it may not come tomorrow, but for sure it is coming. And I wish you luck. I wish you luck. But if anybody has any wisdom, let's sober up. Let's act like civilized people. Let's treat each other with respect. And let's treat ourselves with respect and others with respect. Let's respect the rights of others. Let's respect the offices we hold. And if you can't, then leave that office. Those are my humble words to you all.